This is the last lesson in our first unit on expressions and equations. It's lesson 7, solving all types of linear equations. So the steps for this are fairly simple. You simplify the left side of the equal sign and you simplify the right side of the equal sign. So we're not talking about solving, we're just talking about simplifying. So there's an expression on the left and an expression on the right, and you want to make sure both of those expressions are fully simplified. And we have two tools for doing that. First, the distributive property. You would use that if you see parentheses. And you don't always have to do it, but you always can. And then combining like terms if they're on the same side of the equal sign. So once you've simplified both expressions, then you want to get all variables on one side of the equal sign by using inverse operations. And obviously, you only do that if you need to. Step 3 is to get rid of addition and subtraction, and step 4 is getting rid of multiplication and division. So example 1, I've written here, it's 5 times the quantity 4n minus 2 equals negative 50. And there are actually a couple of ways we could solve the problem, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it following these steps. So first we want to simplify each expression, and we can see that the expression on the right, there's nothing to simplify, so I don't have to worry about that. But on the left-hand side, I can definitely use the distributive property to get rid of those parentheses. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to multiply 5 by 4n, and I'm going to multiply 5 by negative 2. So 5 times 4n, since 5 times 4 is 20, 5 times 4n is 20n. And then 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Bring down our equal sign, and again, there's nothing to simplify over there, so I'll just bring it down. So now I have a pretty simple two-step equation. I don't have to worry about step 2 because the variables are already in one place. I don't have to combine like terms, so I'm just going to get rid of addition and subtraction. And the way I get rid of a minus 10 is with a plus 10. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides of the equal sign, bring down the 20n. 10 bad guys and 10 good guys is 0. Bring down the equal sign. 50 bad guys and 10 good guys is going to give me 40 bad guys, negative 40. Finally, step 4, get rid of multiplication and division by doing the inverse operations on both sides. So this is 20 times n. N is being multiplied by 20, so I'm going to divide by 20 on both sides of the equal sign. 20 divided by 20 is 1, so I'm left with 1n equals, and negative 40 divided by 20 is negative 2. So quickly I'm going to check that. So I've got 5 parentheses 4 times negative 2 minus 2 equals negative 50. So I'm just replacing the n here with negative 2. And I'm going to now simplify the left using order of operations just to see what this equals. So with order of operations, I start inside parentheses and I'm going to do multiplication first. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And I'm going to bring everything else down, including the negative 50 on the right-hand side. So I still have something to do inside parentheses. Negative 8 minus 2 is like 8 bad guys and 2 more bad guys. That's a bad guy meeting with 10 bad guys. Negative 10. So I have 5 times negative 10, and then I'm going to bring everything else down. So finally I can do that multiplication. 5 times negative 2 is negative 50. And since the left-hand side and the right-hand side match, I know I did it right. So example 2 is going to get quite a bit more complicated. Example 2. We've got 6 times 5n minus 6 equals negative 2 times 8n minus 7. So you can see there's lots happening there. 2 sets of parentheses. I've got variables on both sides. But as long as I follow the steps, this is not going to be very difficult. So I'm going to start by simplifying the expression on the left, and I'm going to use the distributive property. So 6 times 5n is 30n, and 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. bring down my equal sign, and now I'm going to simplify the expression on the right. Negative 2 times 8n is negative 16n, and here you got to be real careful because negative 2 times negative 7, remember that a negative times a negative equals a positive 14. So I can't combine like terms here because these aren't like terms, and I can't combine like terms here either. But I do notice that I have n's on both sides. So I'm going to move down to step 2, which says get all variables on one side of the equal sign by using inverse operations. And it's always easiest if you move your smaller one first. So I'm going to start by adding 16n to both sides. So plus 16n plus 16n. I want to move that whole term. Let's see what we've got. 30n plus 16n is 46n. Bring down the minus 36. Bring down the equal sign. Negative 16n plus 16n is 0, so I just need to bring down that 14. And like magic, I'm down to a two-step equation. It's not really magic. We used a really systematic approach. So my next step is to get rid of addition and subtraction. So I'm going to get rid of a minus 36 by adding 36. And whatever you do on one side of the equal sign, you have to do on the other side. And I'm going to bring everything down. So I'm going to bring down 46n. Negative 36 plus 36 is 0. Bring down the equal sign. And 14 plus 36 is 50. And I can see right now I'm not going to end up with a whole number, but that's okay. My last step is to get rid of multiplication and division. So I'm going to get rid of a times 46 by dividing both sides by 46. 46 divided by 46 is 1, so I'm left with 1n equals 50 over 46. And since it's not going to go in evenly, I'm just going to treat this like a fraction, and I can see that the biggest number that goes into 50 and 46 is actually 2. So I'm going to divide by 2 on the top and divide by 2 on the bottom. 50 divided by 2 is 25, and 46 divided by 2 is 23. And as strange as it looks, that is the correct answer. And I'm not going to check this because it would take quite a long time, so you'll have to trust me that it's right. Last problem, example 3. 5n plus 2 all over 3 equals 2 times 6n minus 10. So I'm going to go through our steps, and the first thing we need to do is simplify the left side and simplify the right side. And when I look on the left, I can't use the distributive property, and there are no like terms to combine, so I actually can't simplify this. If I could divide both of these terms by 3, I would do that, but I can't do that. So I'm stuck. So when I look at the right side, I can simplify this because I can use the distributive property to get rid of those parentheses. So I'm going to do 2 times 6n, and then 2 times negative 10. 2 times 6n is 12n, and 2 times negative 10 is negative 20. Bring down my equal sign, and then I'm just going to take that whole group and bring it down. It looks like a mess, but we'll just take it one step at a time. Okay, so step 2 says get all variables on one side of the equal sign by using inverse operations. And I would love to do that. Unfortunately, I can't here because this n is kind of being held hostage because it's in parentheses. It's in this group. And so we have to kind of deviate from the steps here because I have to get rid of that divided by 3. The entire left side is being divided by 3, and I want to move that, but I can't do that while there's this divided by 3 here. So my next step is actually going to be to multiply both sides of the equal sign by 3. So the way I'm going to show that is I'm going to just put a 3 in front of the whole thing. And I'm actually going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put a 3 in front of the whole thing. So I actually have more distributive property here that I have to do. I thought I was done, but I am not. These 3's cancel because 3 divided by 3 is 1. And so I'm left with that whole group. 5n plus 2 is what's on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, I have more distributive property to do. 3 times 12n is 36n, and 3 times negative 20 is negative 60. So now I can finally go to step 2. Step 2 is to get all variables on one side of the equal sign by using inverse operations, and I can finally do that. I'm going to move the smallest one, which is the 5n. So I'm going to subtract 5n from the left-hand side, and I'm going to subtract it from the right-hand side, making sure to put it under a like term. 5n minus 5n is 0, so I'll bring down my 2, bring down my equal sign. 36n minus 5n is 31n, I think, and then I'm going to bring down the minus 60. Finally, a regular two-step equation. So now I'm going to get rid of addition and subtraction by doing the inverse operations. So I'm going to get rid of a minus 60 with a plus 60. Add 60 to both sides. 2 plus 60 is 62. Bring down the equal sign. Bring down the 31n. Negative 60 plus 60 is 0. Last step, get rid of multiplication. So this is n times 31, so I'm going to divide on both sides by 31. 31 divided by 31 is 1, so I've got 1n. 62 divided by 31 is 2. So that horribly complicated looking problem has quite a simple answer. It's just n equals 2. And because this one was so complicated, I do actually want to go through and show you the check just to prove to you that we did it right. I'm going to come back to my original problem, and everywhere I see an n, I'm going to replace it with a 2. So I've got 5 times 2 plus 2 divided by 3. So I just replaced that n with a 2. Equals 2 parentheses 6 times n, take away 10. So I'm going to simplify the left using order of operations, and I'm going to simplify the right using order of operations, and with any luck, they'll be equal. So over here, remember the division bar is a grouping symbol, so I'm going to simplify the top first. And I'm going to actually just do that in my head. I multiply before I add. 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 plus 2 is 12. So on the left, I have 12 divided by 3. I'm just going to do kind of one step at a time. Bring down my equal sign, bring down my 2, and I think I'll probably do everything in parentheses here in my head at once. So multiply before I subtract. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 take away 10 is 2. So that whole thing became a 2. Almost done. On the left, I'm going to keep simplifying using order of operations. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. Bring down my equal sign. And 2 times 2 is 4. On the left-hand side and the right-hand side are equal. That's how we know we did it right. So congratulations, you are done with all the videos for Unit 1.